Good morning, all. I hope that you are doing fine and hope that you are ready for class today. This will mark the end of our classes for this semester. So today we are going to do the rest that remain in the syllabus. So we are having some few things remaining in UML analysis and UML diagrams. We have collaboration diagrams remaining. We have component diagram, robustness diagram, and deployment diagram. Now, robustness diagram, I have given that in the cut 2. I've given that in the cut 2. Let me just confirm if it's the one. I think it's robustness or component, one of them. Let me check. Let me check what we have here. Let me see what kind of question I gave here. Or deployment diagram. Deployment diagram is the one that I gave for the cut 2. I gave that because it's simple. It is very, very easy to kind of understand, and also you are able to draw it well. So I gave that deployment diagram. I gave that in cut 2. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do collaboration diagram and component diagram. Collaboration and component diagram, right? Collaboration components. Yeah, that's what we're going to do, and that will mark the end of our classes for this semester. So collaboration diagram. Now, collaboration diagram, basically, it's a type of an interaction diagram, just the same as a sequence diagram. It shows how messages are passed from one entity to another, or from one object to another. Basically, collaboration diagrams work the same way as sequence diagrams. They work as interaction diagrams, how objects interact with one another by passing messages. So the same elements we had in sequence diagrams are the same elements we have in collaboration diagrams. The only thing that is going to change is how we represent the message passing. There's going to be a little modification of how we represent the message passing. Now, I lost the document which I was using to go through the work, to the demonstration, but I'm going to create another, and you will be able to view from the last video of the sequence diagram which you drew. We are going to repeat that. We're going to take the same case scenario, the same question, and then we are going to draw a collaboration diagram for it. Okay, because collaboration, whatever you can draw with a sequence diagram, you can also draw it with a collaboration diagram. Both sequence and collaboration, they are both interaction diagrams. They show how messages are passed from one object to another in the system. So we are going to take the same case scenario that we had, for sequence diagram in our previous class, and you can check out the video which the recorded session which we did, the class which was recorded last week, where we did a sequence diagram. You'll be able to see what we did there. So we are just going to take that sequence diagram and now have a collaboration diagram for it. Okay, so let me share this. So I am sharing a screen here for the collaboration diagram which we had lastly, previous class. So this is the collaboration diagram which we had. Okay, probably I can change the orientation to probably landscape, so that at least it can give us more space to draw, right? So that is the the question which we had. Okay, in the previous class, it was the last part here was draw a sequence diagram. So here it's draw a collaboration diagram. Now again, sometime in a question, you might be given a case scenario like this one, and then you are told to draw a collaboration, a sequence diagram, and part B, draw a collaboration diagram for the same question. So 10 marks, 10 marks, 20 marks, all right? You can be given such a scenario. So it's important that you know how they are drawn. So what are the objects? So the same things which we had in sequence diagram. You know, the objects we used to represent the objects using what? We used to represent the objects using, you know, finite rectangles, right? Definite rectangles. So we are going to have the rectangles to show the, we're going to have the rectangles to show the objects, okay? So of course, I'm going to format this. No fill. Yeah. And of course, how many objects do we have? You remember these, okay, let me just read the question. Consider a mobile banking app that has the following key services: bank money, withdraw money, buy airtime, and loans. For the user to bank money, so now we are shown the objects and what kind of messages the objects passes. For the user to bank money, they enter their M-Pesa number, their PIN, and the amount they want to transfer to bank account. The user receives a message showing successful banking, that is, yeah, with the updated balance, or a failed message, that is if the amount is successful and the details are okay, and a failed message if the amount is not sufficient and the details are not okay. For the user to withdraw money, yeah, let me just see. So let me just add this particular section, or the other details are incorrect. Okay, we continue. For the user to withdraw money, so this is now another object that is going to be passing data. For the user to withdraw money, so withdraw money is a module in the program, in the system, so it's an object that passes message. They visit the nearest bank agent, which this one cannot be represented in a diagram because this is a physical movement for, you know, for the user. It's physical movement, it doesn't involve the system. They visit the nearest bank agent where they provide their bank card and enter the PIN. This is also physical, so we cannot represent it. But what is the user entering into the system? The PIN, so that one will be represented, amount to withdraw. Then if the amount to withdraw is successful, is sufficient and the PIN is correct, then a success message is sent. Otherwise, a fail message is sent. Okay, so I think let me rephrase this. If the PIN is correct and amount sufficient, success message is sent and user receives money. Otherwise, a fail message is sent. I think that I've rephrased so that it can be easy to basically infer what this is saying. Otherwise, a fail message is sent. So I'm trying to rephrase so that it can be easier. Even as you draw, you can actually read and get the concept straight away. For the user to buy airtime, so buy airtime is another module, an object in the system that will be sending data and receiving data. For the user to buy airtime, they log in into the app. Of course, that's a physical thing. No, it's logical. They provide their PIN using their bank PIN and enter the amount. If successful, airtime is sent to phone with a success message or a fail message if amount in account is insufficient, or PIN. Okay, if we should say here, let me rephrase this so that it can be easier to represent. If PIN is correct and amount sufficient. I think that will be more, it will be easier to understand. If PIN is correct and amount sufficient, airtime is sent to phone. Otherwise, failed message is sent. Airtime is sent to phone and confirmation message sent to the user's phone. Otherwise, failed message is sent. Okay, but I think that's easy to understand. And then now for loans, user enters the type of loan and amount. I think PIN and PIN, banking PIN and banking PIN. If the credit limit and loan history okay, and the PIN is correct, and the PIN is correct, so that means that the system should check if the credit history, the credit limits, how much can you be credited, or your loan history is okay. So it checks that, and if it's okay, and also the PIN you've provided is correct, then the amount is debited into your account, and you will also receive a text message on your phone. Otherwise, a failed message. Otherwise, a failed message will be sent. Okay, good. So having refreshed that, it now says draw a collaboration diagram to represent the system. So how many objects do we have here? We have bank money, we have withdraw money, we have buy airtime, we have loans, and we also have what? We have the user. The user is an object. Okay, you remember when we started this unit, we said that there are different kind of objects when we are representing classes, objects, and those kinds of things in object-oriented programs or systems. There are physical objects and abstract objects. Physical objects are the objects that interact with the system externally from without. But abstract objects are those objects that interact with each other from within the system. These include modules, things like buttons, things like, modules that send data to each other. But physical objects are things like the user that actually, because you remember in computer systems, we have three major components of computer system: hardware, software, and user, right? So user is actually he's a component of the computer system. He's a component. Computers were made for people, not people for computers, right? So because the computers have to be used by people, people are also components, are crucial components, all right? So a person will be regarded as a physical object that interacts with the system. Then the other parts of the system, the code, the different codes and classes, those represent the abstract objects. Okay. All right. So we have how many objects? Bank money, withdraw money, buy airtime, loans, and user or the user's phone or something like that. So okay. So we're going to have here, we're going to name them. I need to change the font, the color, so to black so that it can be seen. Okay, so we have bank money. We have bank money. I'm going to copy, paste, and paste that. And then we will have withdraw money, buy airtime, bank money, withdraw money, right? All right, just a minute. Withdraw money, buy airtime, buy airtime, loans, yeah, and then who? The user. the user, and the user basically here represents the person or the phone they are using. Okay, so physical objects. And the others, these others are abstract objects. So now, of course, you remember in sequence diagram, we said that you first have to identify the particular object that actually, the object that sends and receives messages, or the central object that interacts with all the other objects, and then put it in the center so that the lines do not crisscross, right? So in our case here, which is the object that sends and that interacts with all the other objects? The user, right? So the user will be placed somewhere there, right? And then now we're going to now position the rest accordingly. So we're going to have, just trying to see how we can position the rest. How many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4. So can have 4 there, that way. Good. So I just have it there. The user will be somewhere there. Just trying to position these things because if it crosses it to the point of headers and footers, will not be able to actually to write in the header and footer sections. I'm just trying to avoid that. Okay, so there we are. Let me just try and bring them closer to the user for the sake of the arrows. For the sake of the arrows. All right, so the user will be interacting with all these, yes? So the first thing is to now, the second thing is now to show how the messages are passed. And this is how the messages are passed. Okay? You show using arrows, and you show using arrows and arcs. Now, arcs, what do I mean by an arc? An arc is basically just a curved, a curved line. That's an arc. This is an arc. Okay, this is an arc. An arc basically is curved. So look at this. I don't know how my arc will look like, but okay, let me get an arc. Let me get a better arc from the internet so that you can use it, because the ones provided by Word is actually short and will not serve the purpose. Okay, let me get these out. So that we can have an arc that basically serves the purpose here. Right? So I'm going to crop this. Okay, let me copy this, delete that, paste it there. So we have a thing like that. Can actually kind of, yes, that can actually, that looks more like it. So we'll have an arc that basically shows a connection here. Okay, just an arc, right? And then we can have another arc. So it is an arc. It's not like an arc arrow. It is a straight arc that doesn't have an arrow. Okay, and then just going to paste it that way. Just trying to rotate it so that it can fit there. Right. All right, just trying to make sure that it fits somewhere there. Okay, just an arc, just trying to use an arc. Then the next thing is to show how the user interacts with the object. So of course, so we show that using arcs. So if it is bank money, it says here, the user enters M-Pesa number, PIN, amount they want to transfer to bank account. So we have to show now, after showing this is basically to show that there is some kind of interaction happening between the bank money object and the user object. Okay, so we also have to add arrows. Okay, arrows just like arrows, the normal arrows, the straight arrows. So what are the arrows about? The arrows are now to show how messages are passed, the direction of messages, the direction of data. Okay, so we show an arrow for every single arc. If you have an arc somewhere, you show an arrow for that arc. Put together. So we are going to use let me use a text box. Going to use a text box so that we can actually show this. And I'm going to format this. No fill. Line. No line. Yeah. Okay, so send to back. All right. So we are going to add some information here. So for him to bank money, can you see the arrow? The arrow shows the data the user passes to that object called bank money. The bank money module, it's an object. We treat it as an object. So we are going to add text here. So what are the details? The enters the M-Pesa number. M-Pesa number. What else? Enters the PIN and the amount. PIN and amount. Okay. So of course, we are going to bring it here and then rotate it. Just trying to, just a minute. Okay. Okay, yeah. Just trying to have more space for this. So M-Pesa number, PIN, and amount. Basically, you just indicate what kind of messages are being passed. So of course, can you see that? So M-Pesa number, PIN, and amount, right? You can choose to even increase the arrow. But does it matter really at this point? The arrow just has to show, the arrow is there to just show the direction of that data, M-Pesa number, PIN, amount. Okay. Yeah, and then the next thing is it says the user receives a message showing successful banking, yeah, or a failed message if the amount to be transferred from M-Pesa to bank account is insufficient. So confirmation message for successful banking, right? So confirmation message, we are going to show it this way. So of course, an arrow. You just change the direction of the arrow that way, okay? Direction of the arrow to show the kind of the direction in which that data goes, okay? So I'm going to copy and paste this particular text box. Then we are going to actually enter something here. Is basically, we are just going to say our time is almost running out. We are going to create another session, but let's try and finish it. So confirmation success, right? Confirmation success. Okay, so of course we'll rotate this. But I want to change this font. I think this font will not allow us to do a lot. So let me change it to 9 or 8. Also this one, I'll change it to 8. Okay. Yeah. At least it looks better. I'll change that to that, right? Confirmation success. Yeah. Then we are going to have another arc. Okay. You might ask, what is the arc about? To just see. This arc is for basically I'm going to increase this to accommodate what I want to have. This arc is to show basically another message, because there will be different kinds of messages. This is a confirmation success message, but then there is another kind of message being sent. Which one? A fail message, right? A fail message. Okay, so a fail message if what doesn't happen. A fail message if the details were incorrect or the amount was insufficient. Okay, so a fail message. And how do you represent a fail message? You use the constraint. You remember the constraint? Sorry, I'm just trying to copy and paste this. You use the constraint where you basically show this way. You just say fail or banking fail. And then you show what? You show what has caused the, sorry, this way. You basically here, you show what has caused the fail to happen. So what has caused the fail? It says the user receives a fail message if the amount to be transferred is insufficient or other details are incorrect. So amount insufficient and or details incorrect, whatever causes that fail message to appear. I hope you're understanding how this thing is working here. Okay, so we can actually kind of we can center align that so that it can look better, right? So I'm going to delete that. And bring it there. Okay, that way. So there are different kinds of messages based depending on whether it's a success or it's a fail. Okay, so of course I want to increase the distance so that here we can have things that make sense, or they can be easily visible. All right, let's see another one. Let's see another. So we've represented how this particular object interacts with this one. Okay, how does the user interact with buy airtime, or is it withdraw money? For withdraw money, they visit the nearest bank agent. That is a physical activity. It cannot be represented in the system, where they provide their bank card. So after they give the bank card to the person in the agent there, they enter the PIN and amount to withdraw. Okay, so let's have an arc for it, right? Let's have an arc for it. So we'll have an arc for this one, right? We rotate that. We just have, we'll have that. So ensure you use arcs, not straight lines or straight arrows, okay? Arcs, bent lines, okay? All right, then we are going to have our, we're going to have our arrow. So this arrow is going to point to buy airtime, okay, that way, to show the you know, how the direction of the details, right? Then now we can correct this. All right. So we are going to correct this. What kind of information does it provide for withdraw money? Is this buy airtime? Okay, let's just go to buy airtime because we have already started. For the user to buy, they log in, they use their bank PIN and enter the amount. Okay, so bank PIN amount. Bank PIN amount, those are the details it provides. And of course, we bring it here, we rotate that way. Okay, bank PIN and amount. Okay, then they do what? If PIN is correct and amount successful, airtime is sent to phone and confirmation message sent to the user's phone. So we are going to have another arc. We copy and paste this arc. Right? We just have that. And we do what? We change the arrow. Just change the direction of the arrow to show now it is buy airtime sending a message to the user, the buy airtime module or the buy airtime object. And of course, we have a message for it. So we're going to copy and paste this. And this is what? Success message, meaning that he has bought airtime successfully because the amount is sufficient and the details are correct. Okay, then that success message, then we have an arc for fail, right? Because the system actually has shows that there is provision for a fail. So if there is a fail, then of course we are going to change the direction of we're going to have another arrow as well that points to the user, right? Another arrow that points to the user that way. Then we'll have a message. So it's a fail message, right? So what causes the fail to happen? The amount is insufficient and or the details are incorrect, right? Yeah. So amount insufficient, details are so fail message, right? That way. So yeah. So let's rotate this and place it there. All right. Yes, that way. Then now we can have for withdraw money, the one which we have just passed. So we'll just have we'll have an arc.